Rams opened on the coast for the first time in 1946, but it wasn't until the 50s that they began to command center stage. Led by the quarterbacking duo of number 11, Norm Van Brocklin, and Bob Waterfield, number 7, the Rams won the NFL title in 1951. The Errol Flynn and Clark Gable of the gridiron, Van Brocklin and Waterfield were the leading men in a point-a-minute offense that could light up the scoreboard like a basketball team. A strong supporting cast also played a large part in the Rams' early success. Elroy Crazy Legs Hirsch, number 40, was the most dangerous pass receiver of his era, and he lived up to his nickname by gaining a club record 6,289 career yards. While Hirsch became the first pass catcher to perfect the long bomb, few receivers have ever been able to turn a short pass into a big gain like Tom Fears, number 55. Los Angeles' all-time leading receiver with 400 catches, Fears' elusive running style perfectly complemented the power approach of the Rams' big backs of the 50s. Number 32, Deacon Dan Towler, Dick Horner, and Tank Younger, number 35, were appropriately coined the bull elephant backfield as they stampeded through NFL defenses. The Rams were an offensive powerhouse during the 50s.
As professional football evolves into the 1980s, the elements that make the game sparkle today can be traced to Los Angeles, California, over 30 years ago, where the modern pro offense was born. Offensively, the Los Angeles Rams were decades ahead of their time, and in 1950 were the most explosive team in the history of the sport. With quarterbacks Bob Waterfield and Norm Van Brocklin throwing to a bounty of all-pro receivers, the Rams presented a carnival of big play, a merry-go-round offense with a simple philosophy. To hell with how many points the opposition scores, we'll just score more. In one season, the Rams scored 466 points, 39 a game. A pinnacle unmatched by any NFL team before or since. Ironically, the Rams did not win the league title in 1950.
The famous bull elephant backfield of Tank Younger, Dick Horner, and Deacon Dan Towler helped the 1950 Rams set 22 league records. And on October 15th of that year, Tinseltown's Magnificent 11 scored 41 points in one quarter against the Detroit Lions.
No circus showcased as many center ring attractions as the 1950 Los Angeles Rams, a team that passed and ran at will and averaged almost 40 points a game. Happily for opponents like the Detroit Lions, the Rams gave up points almost faster than they could score them. Unfortunately for the Lions, what began as a point-scoring marathon in the first half turned into a sprint medley relay in the third period for the Rams.
Almost every time we got the ball, we scored 41 points. It was just an example of the explosiveness of the personnel we had in Los Angeles at that time with Fears and Hirsch and Bobby Boyd and Glenn Davis and V.T. Smith and big fullbacks, Tank Younger and Towler. We could beat you anywhere on the field. We just explode the touchdown real fast. We scored 41 points in that quarter against Detroit, and their kickoff return man ran 2 of those returns back during the same quarter. It looked like a racetrack out there. Everybody was crossing the goal line.
third quarter reminded you of the old song standard, anything you can do, I can do better. The Lions sang a verse, then the Rams answered with the chorus. It was like the Rolling Stones trying to match riffs with the Count Basie Orchestra. This Ram band included 5 Hall of Famers and exciting long-distance runners like number 77, Vitamin T. Smith. The astonishing depth of the Rams was evidenced by number 80, Bob Boyd, a reserve end whose only sin was playing behind Tom Fears and Crazy Legs Hirsch. 6 touchdowns and a record 41 points in the third quarter helped Los Angeles.
But now all the Browns had worked for, the weeks of practice, the grueling schedule, all was to be wrapped up in one game, the championship game with the Los Angeles Rams. Tony Adamle, a symbol of the defense, reflected the Browns' readiness for the big game of a big year in football. The defensive team who had figured so prominently in the Browns' success were introduced, and their alignment as an offensive weapon was to be a harbinger of things to come. The Browns kicked off, and Vitamin Smith, taking the ball back, reflected some of the key spirit of the game. Quarterback Bob Waterfield on the first play from scrimmage on a very slippery field hoisted a pass to Glenn Davis, the Army All-American. Davis outraced the Browns to ring up a score in the first 25 seconds, and certainly the ease with which the Rams had scored caused more than just a few of the fans to wonder what the final scoreboard would read. 7-0 was dark enough for the Browns, even in the first quarter. But Otto Graham proved that he was not taking a back seat to Waterfield. Otto fired a perfect pass to Dub Jones in the end zone. The Dubber gathered it in, and the Browns rooters really cut loose with the acclaim that such a performance merited. The scoreboard showing 7-7 was anticlimactic. The Rams came back. Waterfield, number 7, handed off to Smith on a statue play. Finley finally blocked Herring, and only Tommy James could stop the Rams' bid for a touchdown. But the Rams had a first down and the Browns 3. Fullback Dick Horner, displaying the driving force that won him acclaim as a great fullback, dug his way into the end zone to put the Rams right back into the lead. And the Browns found themselves on the short end of a 14-7 score. The defensive ability of the Browns helped greatly in this game. Gillum put his heart and soul into this punt, and Bill Willis, taking 2 men with him, buttoned up a perfect defensive maneuver. In the second quarter, the Browns held. Then Otto fired a screen pass to Max Speedy. Groza threw a block, and Speedy moved to the Rams' 26-yard line. Again, the fans began to chant for the Browns to score. Then Graham faded back, threw to LaValle. And Dowdy on a Z-in pattern loped into the end zone to put the Browns within 1 point of a tie. On the try for the extra point, the pass was juggled. Quick-thinking Tommy James ran to his right, fired a pass intended for Adamle. Tony's fingers, numb with the cold, just couldn't hang on, and the Browns trailed by 1 point, a point that could determine the championship. At the half, the Browns still trailed by that 1 point, and it began to look bigger with every minute. Waterfield had missed a field goal, and the Browns were heartened with a possible change of fortune. Early in the third quarter, Graham, giving one of his great exhibitions, fired another perfect pass to LaValle. The timing was so perfect that Donnie crossed in front of the defensive back, took the pass without losing a step, and was in the end zone for a score to put the Browns back in front 20-14. The only dark spot in an otherwise bright picture was the 1 point miss. But the Rams bounced right back. Fullback Dick Horner pulled over from the Browns' 1-yard line, and the Rams were back in the lead 21-20. and the 1 point loomed as an even bigger obstacle to the Browns in their bid for the title. In the third quarter, on the first play after the kickoff, adversity struck a blow that would have ended the game for a weaker team. Gillum threw a great block. Motley started around the end, was trapped near the sideline, reversed his field, ran into a host of tacklers, slipped, lost the ball, and the Rams' left end, Larry Brink, scooped it up, gave the Rams a tainted touchdown, but a lead of some 8 points, 28-20. With 10.5 minutes remaining in the game, Graham uncorked another dazzling pass, and Rex Bumgardner thrilled the excited crowd to the fever point with a tremendous catch that enabled the Browns to move within 1 point of the Rams to 27. The unit held the Rams, and with 5 minutes remaining in the game, Graham faded the pass, started to run, got down to within the 20, then was hit and fumbled. And with the fumble, the despair of Graham was shared by many thousands. Now the Browns had to stop the Rams. Horner, the fullback, attempting to go inside tackle, was stopped by Gray. Horner, the fullback, now tried off tackle, but the Browns were ready and determined to stop him, and Lenny Ford was there to do the job. Glenn Davis, the fleet halfback, cut off left tackle in a desperate bid for a first down. And the Browns, in an even more desperate effort, stopped him 4 yards short of a first down, making it 4th and 4. The clock continued to click off the minutes. Waterfield went back into punt formation, got off another great kick. Cliff Lewis returned to the Browns 31 before being bounced out of bounds, but the hopes of the Browns were still alive. They had the football and some minutes still on the clock. Graham faded back to pass, seeing his receivers covered, tried to pick his way forward, and ran 11 yards before being hauled down on his own 47. Graham again took to the air, and fighting the clock passed to Rex Bumgardner on the 40. Rex stepped out of bounds, stopping the clock and giving the Browns a chance. 1 minute, 25 seconds remained in the game. Graham passed again, this time intended for Bumgardner. Nomitz of the Rams knocked the ball down and came close to intercepting. The pass was incomplete, of course, but the Browns' hopes were still alive. Graham still went to the air, lofted another aerial. Dub Jones was there to get it, and the Browns had the ball on the Rams' 22 with 55 seconds remaining in the game. Precious seconds kept ticking off. Graham passed to Bumgardner on the Rams' 11. The Browns had a first down, and with 45 seconds remaining, Otto moved the ball over on a sneak in a position for a field goal attempt. Rosen, the kicking team, were alerted. And here, just as we broadcast it, is what happened with the voices in the background, the voices of the people at the game, who were hoping that the Browns could come up with the right answer. Rosa will attempt the field goal. It'll be 15 yards. He boots the ball. It's up in the air. It's gone! It's gone! It's gone! Yes, these are the sounds of people, the people of Cleveland, Ohio, who had watched the Browns supply the answer to all the questions.
The Los Angeles Rams versus the winners in the American Conference of the National Football League, the Cleveland Browns. Now we're ready for the World's Championship game, a real thriller. 60,000 sun-drenched fans are on hand here at the huge Los Angeles Coliseum as the Los Angeles Rams come charging onto the field to boast a log of 11 wins and 1 loss for the 1951 season. Los Angeles coach Joe Stoddard will have his hands plenty full this afternoon, and he'll be counting heavily on his talented quarterback Bob Waterfield, passing and field goal specialist. And Nun Van Brocklin, second half of the powerful Ram aerial circus, Here passing to rangy Tom Fears, one of the greatest ends in National League football. Paul Brown, coach of the Cleveland team, has a few tricks up his sleeve, too. Passing master, Otto Graham. Flashing fullback, Marion Motley. And sticky-fingered pass receivers, Max Speedy, number 58, Datty Lavelli, and Dub Jones. Here's the toss of the coin with Waterfield representing the Rams, Tony Adamley representing Cleveland. That's referee Russell Gibb. Captain Tony Adamley wins the toss of the coin, elects to receive. The Browns will be defending the east goal. Woodley Lewis kicks off for Los Angeles, a high floating kick that goes out of bounds in the Cleveland 22. Rams to penalize 5 yards will be forced to kick from their own 35-yard line. On the Los Angeles 35, Woodley Lewis kicks off. Cleveland's Ken Carpenter receives at the goal line, fumbles, picks it up, returns to the Cleveland 23, where Andy Robustelli, Los Angeles freshman end, makes the tackle. First place in scrimmage, Cleveland's ball, first down, 10 to go. Otto Graham calling signals, number 60. Graham right behind the center. It's a pitch out to Dub Jones, number 86. Jones picks up 1 yard. Tank Younger makes the tackle for Los Angeles. With the ball on the 24-yard line, Otto Graham goes back to pass. That's Otto calling the signals. That's Dub Jones in motion. Off to the left in the T formation. Graham goes to throw. He looks. He fires to Max Speedy. Good for 12 yards and a first down in the Cleveland 36. That's the first down of this football game. Otto Graham calls his team into the huddle, calls the signal, steps up to the line of scrimmage. Graham again dropping back. This time he looks and throws to Datty Lavelli for 13 yards. Another first down and the Cleveland 49. Jerry Williams and Don Paul collaborated to make the tackle. Graham again brings his team up to the line of scrimmage. Otto the ball into the arms of Marion Motley, who slams through the middle to put the ball on the Los Angeles. Score, 0-0 in the first quarter. Neither team has scored. Los Angeles hasn't had the ball on offense yet. Graham calling signals. Otto starts back, fakes to Motley. Moves off to his right to his own 43. He's up to his own 45, decides to run at the 50. He's at the 45, down to the 40. He whirls to the 35, all the way down to the 35-yard line of the Rams. The Graham calls signals. Moving in now on the Rams goal line. Graham fakes to Motley with the left hand, gives the ball to Jones with the right hand. Jones fumbles, but recovers immediately at the line of scrimmage, no gain. 4-0. Second and 10. Graham steps back. He's being rushed by Brink. He fires over the middle to Lavelli for 16 yards for his third successive completion, and it's first down Cleveland on the Los Angeles 19. Graham again calling signals. Graham hands off to Dub Jones again, and Jones is hit after a yard advance as Don Paul brings him down. Second down, 9 to go. All on the 18-yard line. Graham goes back to pass, fakes to Motley, looks downfield, Brink's coming in on him again, hits him around the arm. The pass is short, intended for Lavelli, incomplete. Incompleted forward pass. Third down, 8 to go. Fullback Marion Motley smashed over the middle for a yard, pick up to put the ball on the 17-yard line. Fourth down, 7. Paul Brown sends Lou Groza into the lineup to attempt a field goal from the Rams 23. Tom James holds. The kick is up. It's end over end. It's wide to the left. No good. The Rams take over on their own 20. A 71-yard Cleveland march comes to a halt. On the Rams' place in scrimmage, Tank Younger cuts over left tackle for 1 yard. Second down, 9 to go. Bob Waterfield, number 7, calling signals. Bob gives the ball. Dan Toller, Deacon Dan, swings wide for 9 yards and a first down on the Los Angeles 30. And that's the initial first down for the Rams in this football game. Waterfield steps up to the line of scrimmage right behind his center. Balance line, T formation. Gives the ball to Younger. Younger hits left tackle for 1 yard. Len Ford of Michigan brings him down. Waterfield points off to the right there, number 7. Calling the signal. He pitches out to Deacon Dan Toller. Deacon Dan picks up 1 yard, and the ball is on the Los Angeles 32. Third down, Bob Waterfield calls the plays. Waterfield goes back to pass, can't get it away, decides to run, and things around right in for a 6-yard advance. Tony Adamley hits him. Waterfield goes way into the air, but he's all right. He's not hurt, and it's fourth down 2. 4. 0-0. Waterfield back in punt formation. His long, high kick is in the air, taken by Cliff Lewis on the Cleveland 21. Lewis returns nicely for 13 yards before rookie guard Dick Doherty brings him down on the 34. Brown's ball, first and 10 to go. Score 0-0. A real thriller from Miller. Out of Graham. Goes back to pass, making it 4 completions out of 5 attempts. Passing to Danny Lavelli for 17 yards. A first down on the Los Angeles 49. Score, first quarter. Behind the center, goes back to pass. Plays is rushed by Robustelli. And his pass, meant for Max Speedy, falls short. Incomplete. Third down and 10 to go. 3rd and 10 with Graham calling the plays. Him takes the ball from center, goes back to pass. It's intended again for Lavelli. Lavelli is downfield. It's a beauty. Lavelli may get it. He misses it. Just missed it. Couldn't quite reach the ball. No touchdown. The score remains the same. 0-0. Gillum back in punt formation on 4th down. Horace Gillum gets away a towering punt. Tommy Kalminer under the ball, signals for a fair catch on his own 12-yard line. First down, 10 to go for the Rams, and the Rams 12-yard line. 0-0. Waterfield behind the line gives the ball to Dan Towner. Towner breaks off right guard for 4 yards, and the ball rests on the Los Angeles 16. Waterfield goes back to throw his first pass of the ball game. Cleveland's Tom James almost intercepts the pass intended for Kane, and it falls incomplete. Waterfield again gives the ball to Dan Towler on a slashing run through center. Gains 7 yards and a first down on the 23. 4-0 first quarter. Waterfield gives it to Tank Younger. He slams off left tackle for 14 yards to the Rams 37. Another Los Angeles first down. Waterfield number 7 calling the plays for the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams are out to dethrone Cleveland today if they can. Waterfield drops back to attempt his second pass, but it falls incomplete, intended for Younger. Waterfield back to pass. He's looking for his favorite receiver, Elroy Hirsch. Hirsch makes a great catch for 20 yards. For the first time in this game, the Rams are in Cleveland territory on the 43-yard line. On this play, a defensive holding penalty is called against the Browns. It puts the ball in position, good position for the Rams, and it's an automatic first down on the defensive holding penalty. First down, 10 to go for the Rams. Waterfield goes back to throw. He's looking on the screen to Deacon Dan Towler, but the pass is incomplete. Waterfield again steps up to the line of scrimmage, right in behind his own center. Tight T formation. Waterfield steps back, arches a long pass that falls incomplete. Hirsch almost had it for a score, but it's an incompleted forward pass. 3rd and 10. Waterfield carries the ball himself and picks up 2 yards. Bill Willis of Ohio State, the Buckeyes, makes the tackle. 4th down, 8 on the Cleveland 47. Waterfield punts. He's back there now waiting for the ball. There's his kick. Lifts it high into the end zone. Automatic touchback. Browns ball, 1st and 10 on their own 20. Score 0-0 in the first quarter. Ball on the 20-yard line of Cleveland. Graham goes back to pass. He throws a screen pass to Motley. And Motley moves nicely downfield for a 7-yard gain. But the play is nullified because of a Browns backfield in motion penalty. Puts the ball back in the Browns 15. Ken Carpenter picks up 4 yards in a right end run to put the ball on the 19 to make it 2nd down 11. Score 0-0 first quarter. Graham goes back to throw. Robustelli's coming in. He throws Otto for a 3-yard loss. 3rd down, 14. Graham right in behind the center. Wetzel auto call here. It's a pitch out to Dub Jones. And Dub picks up 1 yard at left end. Don Paul makes a back in punt fortune. There's the pass from center. Gillum gets away another long high punt. Vitamin T. Smith signals for a fair catch on the Los Angeles 45. And the first quarter ends with the score Los Angeles Rams nothing, the Browns nothing. Now when the teams change goals. Out of the second quarter, Rams ball on their own 45. Younger smashes the center, fumbles, and Jim Kane recovers for Los Angeles on the 49. Picking up 4 yards on the fumble. Balance line T formation. Bob Waterfield still in there at quarterback. Gives the ball to Dan Towler. Towler's halted for no gain at right end by Tony Atomley. Bob Waterfield from the T calls the plays, and behind good protection, fires a pass to Vitamin T. Smith. And Smith rambles for 18 yards in the first down. Los Angeles on the Cleveland 33. Score 0-0. Second quarter. Rams have their first scoring opportunity. Waterfield gives the ball to Vitamin T. Smith. He's swinging wide. He's going to be trapped. Tom James makes the tackle for Cleveland, the 5-yard loss for Los Angeles. Bob Waterfield goes back to pass. He throws the screen pass to Dick Horner, good for 14 yards to the Cleveland 24. Goal. The Rams are moving in. The score 0-0. Waterfield behind the line gives the ball to Vitamin Smith, who cuts back for 7 yards and a first down on the 17. Waterfield on the same play gives the ball to Vitamin Smith, and Smith moves through for 3 more yards. Number 77, Vitamin T. Smith. Waterfield now looking for the payoff play. Stops back. He fakes to the left. Then he Spears is in the end zone. But the ball is over his head. No good. Third down. Waterfield moving back to pass. He throws. Interference is called. And a pass to Smith, giving the Rams the first down on the Cleveland 12. Here's a repeat in slow motion of that play. You can see that Adamley is very depressed. Keep an eye on number 77, Vitamin T. Smith, the intended receiver. This interference penalty, giving the Rams a first down, offers them a great scoring opportunity on the Cleveland 12. Balance line, T formation. Dick Horner over right tackle for 4 yards, putting the ball on the 8. Rams are very close now to a touchdown with the score 0-0. Out of the huddle they come, confidently as Waterfield directs his team. Anselm Robert behind the center gives the ball to Vitamin T. Smith. Vitamin cuts for 2 valuable yards. Score 0-0. Second quarter. Rams are now on the 6-yard line. And Dan Tyler is given the ball. Elroy Hirsch throws a key block. And Tyler goes all the way down to the 1-yard line before he is knocked out of bounds. 1 yard away from a touchdown with a score 0-0. In the World's Championship game, postgraduate football being played in the Coliseum. Waterfield calls signals, and he gives the ball to Dick Horner, number 31. Horner smashes through for the touchdown. Los Angeles 6, Cleveland 0. Glenn Davis will hold. Former West Point star. Bob Waterfield will try for the extra point. There's the pass and center. The ball's on the ground. The kick's in the air. It's good. And the score is 7-0. Los Angeles leads. Second quarter. There's the scoreboard. Willie Lewis kicks off for Los Angeles. Ken Carpenter takes it in the end zone. Comes out down the sidelines. He's hit. Boom, the ball pops out of his head, and he makes a remarkable save for Cleveland. Back to the Cleveland 14. First down for the Browns on their own 14. Otto Graham at the helm. Pulls at his right sleeve. Calls a signal. Moves back to pass. Looks for Max Beatty. Throws. Connects for 17 yards to put the ball on the 31. First down, Cleveland. 7-0. Rams leading second quarter. Graham calling signals. Graham moves back to throw. Again passes to Max Beatty, who runs out of bounds. Just 6 inches short of a first down in the Cleveland 41. Cleveland's ball on their own 41-yard line. Inches to go for a first down. They're trying to tie up the ball game if they can. Graham behind the line gives the ball to Ken Carpenter, who makes a first down on the 43. Graham again calling signals. Graham slips back, fakes to Motley, passes to complete to Ken Carpenter. A fine play for 17 yards as Ken rolls to the Los Angeles 40-yard line. First down 10 now for the Browns on the Los Angeles 40. The Rams lead 7-0 in the second quarter. Graham goes back to pass. He's looking downfield. He throws a long one. It may be a touchdown. Number 27, Marvin Johnson breaks up the play on the 5-yard line. Great defensive maneuver on the part of Marvin Johnson. Graham calling signals. Goes back to throw, fakes to Motley. Smash for a 6-yard loss while attempting to pass. Andy Robustelli made the tackle. Robustelli has been playing tremendous defensive ball for Joe Steidehar's team. Graham again goes back to pass, and he is nailed while attempting to pass, this time for a 9-yard loss, as Larry Brink rushes in to make the stop. Fourth down now for the Browns. Rams lead 7-0. Gillum back in punt formation. Gillum boots it. It's a high, soaring kick, forcing the Rams' Vitamin T. Smith to call for a fair catch on the 18. To Elroy Hirsch, but it's broken up by Warren Lahr. Third down and 7. Waterfield moves back, watches his protection, looks for a receiver, throws far downfield. There's a jump, and a tremendous interception by Warren Lahr, who stole the ball away from Elroy Hirsch, giving Cleveland possession on their own 45. That pass into Denton over Lahr's head. Hirsch would have been off to the races, but Lahr made a sensational play. And now the Browns take over 1st and 10 on their own 45. Otto Graham, keeping his passes low to avoid interceptions, connects with Max Speedy for 10 yards and a first down on the Los Angeles 45. Otto Graham calls signals. Otto Graham goes back to throw. He looks off to his right, passes to his right, and the pass is meant for Jones, incomplete. Broken up by Marvin Johnson. 4 minutes left to play in the half. Graham goes back to throw. Again, he throws downfield, this time to Carpenter, and it's incomplete as Carpenter failed to hang onto the ball. Graham again goes back to pass. He looks off to his right. He throws downfield to Carpenter, and Carpenter again drops it. And now they're going to try a 52-yard field goal from the 48-yard line. And this will be Lou Groza kicking. The score 7-0. The ball's in the ground. Groza kicks. It's a beautiful end-over-end boot far downfield and right through the uprights with a 3-point, setting a new world's playoff record of 52 yards from the goalpost. The score now, the Rams 7, the Browns 3. National League mark is 54 yards, held by Glenn Fresnel in 1934 against Green Bay. There's the kickoff by Lou Groza. Goes into the end zone. Comes out, it's down there. It's an automatic touchback. It's the Rams' ball, 1st and 10 on their own 20. Ball is given to Dick Horner on the first play, and Horner pile drives through the middle for 2 yards. 2nd down 8. Bob Waterfield calls signals. Waterfield goes back. Waterfield throws downfield to Tom Fears. Incomplete. Incompleted forward pass. Backfield and motion penalty against the Rams was declined by the Browns. And that's Waterfield back to throw. Waterfield throws a long one downfield, but it's out of bounds. Meant for Vitamin T. Smith. Now it's 4th down. Waterfield goes back in punt formation from his own 8-yard line. Gets the kick away, and the ball sails out of bounds on the Cleveland 46. Downs ball, 1st and 10 at that point. Rams lead 7-3. Second quarter. Graham calling signals. Graham goes back to... Graham looks. He throws, and Max Speedy makes a tremendous catch for a 14-yard gain in the first down on the Ram 40. Now watch this play as Graham goes back to pass. He looks to his right, passes to his left on the screen to Motley, and Motley begins to roll behind fine blocking for 23 yards and a first down to the Los Angeles 17-yard line. Watch this next play. Otto Graham calling signals. Graham moves out from behind the center. Doesn't even fake. He's following Carpenter. Carpenter throws a key block. Graham throws a fine pass. Jeff Jones is moving for the ball, catches on the 3, and rambles into the end zone for the tally. And the Browns go out in front for the first time in the ball game, 9-7. Tom James will hold. Lou, the toe Groza, will try for the extra point. There's a snap from center. The ball's on the ground. The kick's in the air. Cleveland goes out in front, 10-7. Browns leading 10-7. Late in the second quarter, Groza kicks off. It's a towering end-over-ender, far downfield and out of the end zone. Automatic touchback. Comes out to the 20-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Rams. Bob Waterfield goes back to pass. He looks for Elroy Hirsch. It's a long, whirling ball out of bounds. Intercepted out of bounds, but no play. 2nd down. Waterfield goes back to throw again. It's a screen pass to Dan Towler, and Towler drops the ball. Incomplete. 3rd and 10. Bob goes back to throw. He looks for Glenn Davis of West Point. Davis takes it for 11 yards. Woodley Lewis knocks Davis out of bounds on the Cleveland on the Ram 31. Waterfield goes back to pass to Hirsch. Hirsch makes a great catch. A play good for 15 yards and a first down in the 46. With a minute and 40 seconds remaining, Waterfield passes incomplete to Davis. Glenn couldn't quite catch up to the ball. Now Smith carrying the ball, loses 2 yards, attempting to sweep left end. Vitamin T, number 77. 1 minute 25 seconds remaining in the first half. 10-7 the score. The Browns lead. Waterfield goes back to pass. He looks, he hits Hirsch for yards and a first down on the Cleveland 39. And it begins to look as if the Rams have an excellent chance to go back into the lead or tie up the ball game before the first half ends. Waterfield goes back with a minute and 10 seconds left in the half. He fires to Fears for 18 yards to put the ball on the Cleveland 21. First down for the Rams on the Brown 21-yard line. 58 seconds left to play in the first half. Bob Waterfield directing his team masterfully down the field, calls the plays, goes back to pass. He looks, he passes in the flat to Glenn Davis, who's smeared for a 2-yard loss by Tony Adamley, the captain of the Cleveland Browns. 9:35 seconds left. Waterfield goes back to throw. He's a long one to the goal, intended for Fears, but Tom James intercepts for Cleveland on the 1-yard line and falls to the 2. And there's the gun ending the halftime activities at the Coliseum in Los Angeles. Very colorful spectacle, lots of excitement, much pageantry, plenty of thrill. Here come the Cleveland Browns out of the dugout, out of the runway, from the dressing room with Paul Brown right behind him. Here are the Los Angeles Rams trotting across, preparatory to the start of the third period. Lou Groza kicks off for Cleveland. The fine kick downfield taken by Jerry Williams on his own 5. He swings out to the 10, cuts to the 15, the 20. He moves to the 24, and he's finally dropped after a nice return at the 26. Waterfield calling signals, whirls all the way around and hands to Glenn Davis, who runs over center 4 yards. Waterfield behind the line, whirling around and then pitching out to Deacon Dan Towler. Towler swings right in for 3. The Rams determined to get back into the lead in this football game, and Waterfield gives the ball to Towler again, and the powerhouse cuts inside for 5 yards and a first down at the 38. Waterfield moves up to the line of scrimmage quietly and quickly, gives the ball to Vitamin T. Smith. Watch this tackle by Hal Herring. Herring really smacks in and then him for a 3-yard loss. Waterfield gives to Glenn Davis, who finds a hole through center, good for 5 yards to the 40. Waterfield mixing up his plays well. Now is looking downfield, trying to spot number 40. He looks, he hits Elroy Hirsch for 14 yards and a first down on the Cleveland 46. Waterfield again mixing the plays, gives the ball to Towler, who picks up 4 yards, fumbles, and Hal Herring recovers for Cleveland on the Browns 41. Browns ball, first and 10 to go. Browns leading 10-7. Otto Graham calls signals. Number 60, Graham, goes back. He throws. The pass is low, incomplete. Now for one of the most interesting plays and one of the biggest thrills of the football game. Otto Graham calling signals. The Rams on defense. The Browns on offense. Graham steps back to pass. But the Rams, Larry Brink roars in from left end. Hits Otto. The ball pops out of his hands. It's picked up by Robustelli. He fumbles, picks it up in the bounce. And Robustelli moves all the way down to the Cleveland goal before he is dropped. Fumbles and recovers and is finally halted on the Browns' 2-yard line. First and goal to go. Brink and Robustelli collaborating to give the Rams their chance to go back into the lead. That's Towler with his headgear off. And now it's first down on the 2. On the first play, Waterfield gives the ball to Dan Towler, and Towler smacks into the middle of the line for 1 yard. Second down, a yard to go for a touchdown. Waterfield, number 7, the quarterback, calls his team back into the huddle. They come up to the line of scrimmage on second down. The ball is given to Towler again. Towler hits the middle of the line and is ruled dead at the 6-inch line. So it's third down, 6 inches to go for a touchdown. The score 10-7, the Browns leading. Once more, Bob Waterfield calls the plays in the huddle. The Rams trying desperately to dethrone the Browns of Mickey McBride. Danny Reeves' Rams team. That's Field giving the ball again to Towler. And Towler rushes into the end zone for the touchdown. Rams 13, Browns 10. Ben Davis will hold the ball for the try for the extra point. Rams finally go back into the lead. Davis kneeling on the 10. There's the snap from center. The ball's on the ground. Waterfield adds the extra point. Los Angeles 14, Cleveland 10. Woodley Lewis kicks off for the Rams. It's a fine kick. A high end-over-ender downfield. Taken by Ken Carpenter in the end zone, who gallops out and moves downfield to the Cleveland 27 before being grounded. Nice return by Ken Carpenter. First and 10 downs on the Brown 27-yard line. The Rams lead 14-10 in the third quarter. Otto Graham calling signals. Ball is given to Motley. Motley struggles, fights, battles, twists, and moves for 4 yards before he is dropped. Ball's on the 32-yard line of the Cleveland Browns. Otto Graham calling signals. Graham goes back to throw. He looks to his right, starts to run, and then passes off to Dub Jones, who makes a great catch for a 26-yard gain and a first down at the Los Angeles 43. Jones gets up, tries to break away again, but is finally brought down. With Los Angeles in the 7-4 defense, Graham gives the ball to Marion Motley, who hits the middle, picking up 1 yard. Browns trying with all their strength and ability to get back in first place, get back on top in the score. Graham's pass to Ken Carpenter is dropped, incomplete. Graham again going back to throw. Motley trying to block, misses the man. Graham throws a long one intended for Lavelli, but the Rams, Jerry Williams, intercepts and returns to the Los Angeles 33. A fine interception by number 33, Jerry Williams, and he fell on his own 33. Towler takes the pass behind the line from Waterfield and loses 1 yard at right guard. The Rams are out in front, 14-10. Bob Waterfield calls his team in a huddle. Now they're out of it, up the line of scrimmage. Waterfield goes back to pass. His pass intended for Smith falls incomplete at the 40-yard line. Third down 11. Waterfield going back to pass. He is rushed. His pass to Smith is incomplete, almost intercepted by Woodley Lewis. Bob Waterfield on fourth down goes back in punt formation. Waterfield gets the pass in center. He lifts it high into the air. Carpenter takes it on the 17, comes out to the 18, changes direction quickly to the 20, moves out to the 23, where he's hit hard there, but there's a clipping penalty called against Browns, and it takes the ball all the way back to the Browns' 8-yard line. Works the Browns ball, first and 10 to go, trailing 14-10. Dub Jones fumbles a pitch out, picks it up in the first bounce, and picks up 3 yards, going around right end, out of bounds on the 11-yard line. Graham calling signals. The Rams leading in the third quarter. Otto may throw here. He is. He's going back to pass. He throws it, but an offside penalty against Los Angeles puts the ball in the Cleveland 16. Rams 14, Browns 10. Graham again's going to throw here. He wants to get back in the lead if he can. He passes to the sidelines, out of bounds for a first down in the Cleveland 30. Nice catch by Jones on that play. Graham again going back. Arches a long one downfield. Ken Carpenter's under it, trying to grab it. This will be a touchdown, but it just misses, incomplete. Graham now going back. This time he throws a short pass in the left flat. This one falls incomplete, almost intercepted by the Rams' Herbie Rich. 14-10, the Rams lead. Graham again goes back to pass. This time it's another low one. Speedy dives for the ball to make it complete for 10 yards and a first down on the Browns 40. Nice catch by Max Speedy. Balance line, T formation. Graham coming up to the line of scrimmage. 14-10, the Rams lead. Watch this play. Graham gives it to Marion Motley. Watch him jump over the line. Motley moves for 11 yards and another first down on the Los Angeles 49. Here from Miller. Reach deep in their bag of tricks for this play. Graham has it set up beautifully. Goes back to throw. Passes. Max Speedy takes it all by himself and romps into the end zone. But there's a holding penalty against Cleveland. The touchdown is nullified. The play is called back. There's the discussion. There's the signal of the holding penalty. Graham is very depressed. Goes over and talks to Rex Baumgartner, number 90. That's his headgear. They've lost the touchdown. Ball goes all the way back to the Cleveland 25-yard line. Graham calling signals. Graham goes back. Andy Robustelli is breaking in. He looks, he jumps, and he has Graham for an 11-yard loss. Larry Brink helped make the tackle. The ball is now in the Cleveland 14. Rams lead 14-10 late in the third quarter. Otto Graham behind the line, fakes, passing to Dante Lavelli. The Rams' Jerry Williams bats the ball out of the receiver's hand. Incomplete. 14-10, the Rams leading in the third quarter. Otto Graham calls the plays. He gives it to a great halfback, Dub Jones, losing 1 yard, trying to circle left end. Bob Boyd makes the fine tackle for Los Angeles. So on fourth down, the Browns will be forced to punt. Horace Gillum steps back in punt formation. Standing in his own end zone, Gillum punts out. It's another high, whirling kick. Tom Kalminer signals for a fair catch on the Cleveland 49. And here's why. Look at Mr. Gibran standing right there, looking him face to face. Now Van Brocklin comes in at quarterback for the Rams. Number 25, Van Brocklin goes back to pass. He throws to Elroy Hirsch. Hirsch has a chance down the sidelines, but he drops the ball. Incomplete. Hirsch bats his headgear in his excitement. Van Brocklin goes back to pass. Gets away a fine pass. A great catch is made by Tom Fears. Watch this great play by Fears. He gets up at the 8. He gets up at the 5. He moves to the 4, the 2, to the 1 yard line before he is finally brought down. A wonderful play by number 55, Tom Fears. Rams ball first down, a yard away from a touchdown. Dan Towler loses yardage, trying to smack over for the score. Now it's second down with about 2 to go for a touchdown. Out of the huddle they come. Van Brocklin calling signals. Towler hits the same place and loses 2 yards to put the ball back on the Cleveland 4. 25 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Dick Horner is held on this play for no gain at center. And there's the end of the third quarter with the Rams out in front by a score of 14-10. Down the first play of the final quarter, the Rams line up for a field goal attempt with Davis Holding and Waterfield standing in the kicking position. The ball is snapped to Glenn Davis. Davis jumps up, attempts a fake field goal, tries to swing around for the touchdown, but is nailed in the Cleveland 18 by Herring and Palmer. Ball goes over to Cleveland, first down, 10 on their own 18-yard line. Otto Graham calls the plays, wipes off his trousers. Looks, moves back, into position to throw, pitches out to Dub Jones for a 5-yard gain to the 23-yard line. Number 86, Dub Jones. Otto Graham looks into the camera, calls his plays. Is rushed by Don Paul, and his pass falls incomplete, out of bounds, intended for Lavelli. Graham again calls the signals, and Graham is passing now on almost every play. Graham's third down pass is in the air. It's intercepted by the Rams' Marvin Johnson on the Cleveland 36, and Johnson returns all the way to the 1 yard line before being knocked out of bounds. A real thriller from Miller. Score 14-10, Los Angeles. And for the second time, a chance. This time, they expect to come through. The Browns have been tremendous on defense. And Brockton calls signals. Gives the ball to Dick Horner, number 31. He's smacked at the tackle for a gain of a half yard. Second down, a half a yard to go for a touchdown. Going back into the huddle, out of it up to the line of scrimmage, balance line, T formation. Van Brocklin again gives it to Horner, and he stopped in the same place for no gain. Third down, a half a yard to go for a touchdown. Van Brocklin takes his team back, comes up to the line of scrimmage, attempts a quarterback sneak, but the Rams are penalized for backfield in motion, and the ball goes out to the Cleveland 5.5. So now, Van Brocklin, on third down, will have to call another play. 5-yard penalty will be stepped off. Van Brocklin steps back to throw, throws in the flat to Glenn Davis for a yard loss. And now the Rams purposely take a 5-yard penalty for taking too much time in order to better the position for a field goal attempt. With Glenn Davis holding, Waterfield splits the uprights with a successful field goal from the Cleveland 17, score Rams 17, Browns 10. Fourth quarter. Congratulations to Bert Bell, the commissioner of the National Football League, and to Fred Miller. Woodley Lewis kicks off for Los Angeles. It's taken by Ken Carpenter in the end zone. And Carpenter wheels his way across the chalk marks all the way out to his own 30-yard line. First and 10 now for the Browns on their own 30. The Rams lead 17-10. Otto Graham goes back to pass. He looks for Max Speedy, one of his favorite targets. He hits him, and Max Speedy goes out of bounds after a nice catch. An 18-yard gain and a first down on the Cleveland 49. Rams leading 17-10, fourth quarter. Otto Graham, number 60, goes back to throw. His pass is meant for Dub Jones. Jones looks very disconsolate as he gets up. Second down. Graham again goes back pass. Looks downfield. Throws to Jones. Again, it's wide of the mark and incomplete. Third down. Graham calling signals. Incompleted passes, stop the clock. Graham starts to his right. Can't find any receivers in the clear. Whirls around quickly and starts galloping around his own left end. Gets a few key blocks and moves downfield for a 32-yard run to make it first down Cleveland on the Los Angeles 18. A brilliant play by Otto Graham. Graham steps back in after getting his breath, calling signals. And the tee gives the ball to Ken Carpenter, who goes around right end for a 5-yard gain. Carpenter, number 84, hangs on to the ball. Graham calling signals. Ball's on the 13-yard line of Los Angeles. Rams in the 7-4 defense. Graham moves down to the 11-yard line on a delayed quarterback sneak. Third down and 3. Number 60, Otto Graham, calls the plays. Gives it to one of his favorite ball players, Dub Jones, who finds a hole through left guard to pick up 6 yards and a first down on the Ram 5-yard line. The Browns are very close to tying up the football game, and if they go into overtime, they have sudden death. Graham again, this time on a pitch out, and that's Dub Jones circling right end all the way down to the 1-yard line. Jones almost went into the end zone for the touchdown that time. 1 yard away from a touchdown on second down. The Browns ball as they come out of the huddle. Otto Graham calling signals. Otto Graham, number 60, tries a delayed quarterback sneak and loses a yard as the hole fails to open. And now it's third down 2. Winkler stopped him there. Third down 2 to go. 2 yards from a touchdown. Graham calling signals. The whole crowd standing. The ball is given to Ken Carpenter. He scores! And now the score is 17-16. The Rams lead. Now for the all-important extra point. Lou Groza, who won the championship last year with a field goal, will try and tie it up. Tom James is kneeling. There's the snap from center. The ball is on the ground. There's Groza's kick. The ball is up and over, and the score is tied at 17 all. 17-17 in the last quarter. Couldn't be any closer. Lou Groza kicking off for Cleveland. Kicks it completely out of the end zone to make it the Rams' ball, first and 10 in their own 20. Davis swings wide around right end, picking up 2 yards before being toppled out of bounds. Second down, 8 to go on the 22. Browns line moving, Rams line moving. Van Brockton passes incomplete for the 5-yard penalty for offside against Cleveland, puts the ball in the Rams' 28. Now, the play of the day, and possibly the play of the year in postgraduate football. Norman Van Brockton goes back, arches a long, fine, high, spiraling pass far downfield. Tom Fears makes a great catch on the dead run and goes all the way to score for Los Angeles. A 72-yard touchdown play. Rams 23, Browns 17. Sideline play, everyone excited there. No side of hire being patted on the back. Players are now patting Tom Fears on the back as he comes over. Tom whirls around to watch the extra point after shaking hands. Waterfield's try for the extra point, waiting for the snap. The ball's on the ground. The kick is through the uprights. Los Angeles 24, Cleveland 17. Cleveland was offside. L.A. declines the penalty, takes the point. They're leading by 7 points as Woodley Lewis kicks off for the Rams. Ken Carpenter takes it over his shoulder on the 2-yard line and returns to the 28-yard line on another fine return. First and 10 on their own 28. Otto Graham calling signals. Otto Graham goes back to pass. Moves towards the sidelines at the 20. He's a pass, but it's intercepted by Don Paul of the Rams on the Cleveland 40 and returned all the way back to the 14. And the Rams fans go wild with joy. A real thriller, Don Miller. The ball is given to Vitamin Smith, who picks up 1 yard at left end. Vitamin P played top flight ball. Van Brockton, number 25, calling signals. Van Brockton fakes behind the line to Davis, goes back to pass. He looks for Elroy, Crazy Legs, Hirsch on the goal line. It's broken up. Tom James broke it up, stopped the touchdown. Third down. Van Brockton calls the play. Gives the ball to Dan Towler. Towler loses 3 yards, attempting to cut laterally. Bob Waterfield comes in to attempt the field goal from the Cleveland 23. The Browns, Bill Willis rushes in to block the kick, and the ball rolls out of bounds on the Cleveland 38. Score 24-17 Rams. Browns ball, first and 10 on their own 38. Otto Graham throws a long floating pass intended for Lavelli. It falls incomplete, almost intercepted. Graham goes back to throw. Pass is complete to Ken Carpenter, 12 yards and a first down at the midfield stripe. Now the hopes and dreams of all these players are resting in the next few minutes play. Graham goes back to pass. And he is hit, losing 3 yards while attempting to run right end. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Graham goes back to throw. His second down pass is short, incomplete, stopping the clock. Graham steps up to the line of scrimmage, handling his team, goes back to throw. Looks for Ken Carpenter. Passes complete to Carpenter to put the ball on the Los Angeles 43-yard line. It's 4th down. 1 yard to go for the first down, and this is the key play of the whole game for Cleveland now. Dub Jones gets the call. He's sweeping wide, and he's thrown for a 1 yard loss by Norb Hecker, but attempting to pick up the first down, and the Rams take over on downs. And there goes the last glimmering hope of the world champion Cleveland Browns. Behind the line with 2.5 minutes of playing time remaining, V.T. Smith runs around left end for 8 yards to put the ball on the 48. Out of bounds, stops the clock, of course. Norman Van Brockton on a quarterback sneak picks up 3 more yards. Now with 2 minutes remaining, Glenn Davis loses 2 yards at right tackle. 1 minute and 45 seconds left. Davis swings wide to the right to eat up the clock and is thrown for a yard loss. Long wide play by Glenn Davis, formerly of West Point. 3rd down and 13. Van Brockton, number 25, goes back to pass. Throws to Tom for a 7-yard gain. Fears clutches the ball with all the strength, 41-yard line. seconds remaining to play. A 5-yard penalty takes time, puts the Rams back in the 26. The field now in at quarterback. Goes back in formation. Waterfield gets the pass from center and lifts it into the end zone. With 15 seconds of playing time remaining, it's Cleveland first and 10 on their 20. Now they're going to pull all the tricks out of the bag. Graham calls the signals. Graham comes up to the line of scrimmage, still confident. Still in charge as he goes back to pass. He throws to McSpeedy, who laterals to Carpenter on the 28, and Carpenter sprints for 10 more, then runs out of bounds to stop with only 6 seconds left in the game. Time for possibly one more play, 6 seconds remaining on the scoreboard clock. Graham calls the play, the fatal play, the last play of the game, the last play of the season. There's a lateral pass out to Ken Carpenter. Carpenter runs to his right and throws a forward pass down to Lavelli, but it's incomplete. And there's the gun, ending the ball game and making the Los Angeles Rams the world champions of 1951. Final score, the Los Angeles Rams 24, Ground 17. You've seen the making of a new Major League Football champion, the Los Angeles Rams, Cleveland Browns, American Conference leaders. What a game and what a day for the Los Angeles Rams. Jubilantly, they hoist their 275-pound mentor, Joe Stuck, and to you, Paul Brown, two great fellows behind two great teams. Now, this is Harry Wismer offering a toast, a Miller High Life toast to the Los Angeles Rams, world football champions of 1951.
For another first down, and the clock continues to tick away. First and 10 on the 22. 50 seconds remain. Graham passing to Bumgardner. Can Rex get it? He's out there. He's got it. Out of bounds at about the 11. The clock stops again. 45 seconds left. Here's Otto Graham trying to set up a field goal. Possibility moving the ball in the sneak. Less than 30 seconds remaining. Browns on the 16-yard line. Tommy James kneeling on the 16. The wind is blowing. It's cold. Here's the pass from center. James putting it down. Groza boots it. It's up in the air. It's heading towards the goalpost, and it is good. And the Browns lead now 30-28 with 20 seconds left.
The thrilling 1950 NFL Championship is the theme of our show this week on The Way It Was. Hi, I'm Kurt Gowdy. Welcome to our series of American Sports Classics. Today we're going to relive one of the great sporting events of all time, the 1950 NFL Championship game between the Cleveland Browns and the Los Angeles Rams. The team leader, the quarterback, Hall of Famer, automatic Otto Graham. An all-pro end who caught more passes for more yardage than anyone in NFL Championship play, Donnie Lavelli. An all-pro tackle, the greatest place kicker in NFL history, also a Hall of Famer, Lou the Toe Groza. And now for the National Conference champs, the Los Angeles Rams, all-pro end whose broken field runs at the University of Wisconsin and in the pro game earned him the title Crazy Legs. He's a Hall of Famer too, Elroy Hirsch. The greatest all-around athlete in the history of West Point, a Heisman Trophy winner, Mr. Outside Glenn Davis. And the Rams' great triple threat quarterback, another Hall of Famer, Bob Waterfield. And the sportscaster who called the play-by-play for this great game to the nation on both radio and television, the voice of the Cleveland Browns, Bob Neal. Both radio and television.
Right, Kurt, we had a limited kind of network, and I think the fact that I had Paul Brown become the godfather of my oldest son didn't hurt it any.
I would think not. Is it true that Paul Brown used to make you carry a playbook around with you as the announcer for the team?
The first year we went to training camp at Bowling Green, I had to go to the class sessions. I had to keep a playbook. I had to stay in as the players did. He rang a fire bell at 10 o'clock, and the lights were out for everybody, including the broadcaster, the writers, and that was the way it was.
All right, well, let's go to 1950, and you set the scene for this championship game and tell us the way it was.
Well, at the end of the regular season, both conferences ended in a tie, but in the American Conference playoff, the Browns beat the New York Giants 8-3.
8-3?
I remember that umbrella defense, and thanks to a last-minute field goal by the same Lou Groza. In the National Conference, the Rams had beaten the Bears 24-14 on Bob Waterfield's superb passing and Glenn Davis's great running. So it was that the Browns and the Rams met to face each other for the National Football League title.
The Rams, the champions of the National Football Conference, will have Tom Fears, Dick Huffman, Jack Finley, Art Statuto, Stevenson, and Reinhardt in the line. Elroy Hirsch playing right end, Waterfield at quarterback, Glenn Davis at left half, Vitamin T. Smith and Dick Horner. For the Browns, Max Speedy, Groza, Weldon Humble, and Abe Gibran alternating at one guard, Frank Gatsky at center, Lynn Houston, Lou Rimkus, Donnie Lavelli, Otto Graham, Rex Baumgartner, Dub Jones, and Marion Motley. A confrontation of the Rams and the Cleveland Browns on a field that's slippery to say the least. The captain's out there visiting with referee Ron Gibbs, getting set up, a cold day, 27 degrees, and the Browns hoping that they can prove to their fans that when they took over the football scene in Cleveland, the Rams moved to Los Angeles, that it was no mistake. The Browns will be kicking it off, and here comes Lou Groza. Gets the boot away. It's a good one. Standing way back in the 5-yard line is number 77, Vitamin T. Smith. And here he comes, coming back out of the 10. He's on his way, moving out there. Browns in hot pursuit. Good blocks by the Rams. Vitamin T. Smith carries the ball out to the 18-yard line, 1st and 10. Number 7, Bob Waterfield, back to pass. Looking, gets it off, and it's in the air. Glenn Davis down along the sidelines, takes it on the 45. Davis down to the 40, at the 30. He may go all the way. Davis is going to go all the way, and in 27 seconds, the Rams have taken the lead 6-0. Elroy Hirsch holding. Waterfield boots, and it's now Los Angeles 7 and Cleveland nothing. Well, the Browns are somewhat concerned. This is the devastating Rams team, but here comes Otto Graham, number 60, passing on the side. Dub Jones along the sideline, 1st down in the Cleveland 42. 2nd down. Graham passing over the middle, looking, and hooks with Donnie Lavelli. Donnie brought down as he moves up to about the 47-yard line. 3rd down and 5. Here's Otto Graham with good protection. Lynn Houston the top with a good block. Motley with a good block, but Graham's going to have to run. Keeping the ball, running off to this side. And Otto fakes another throw, trying to hold and freeze the Ram defenders. Now Otto gains all the way down to the Rams' 31-yard line as he moves in and is finally brought down. It'll be 1st down and 10 for the Browns on Los Angeles' 31-yard line. Here's Otto Graham, good protection again. Looking for Dub Jones. There's the Dubber streaking for the end zone. He's got it, and he's in the snowbank. And the Browns are back on the scoreboard with 6 points. Lou Groza, automatic Lou, boots it, and it's now tied 7-7. The Rams take the kickoff, and Waterfield in 3 plays moves the Rams 58 yards to the Browns' 22. Here's Waterfield to Tom Fears, good for 5 yards. 2nd and 5 on the 18-yard line. Waterfield back now, looking for Tom Fears. Going to hand it off to Vitamin Smith. Vitamin Smith moving around left end, gets a good block. That's Jack Finley, number 58, clearing the path. He cuts back in. He's down to the 15, to the outside of the 10, down to the 5. He might go in, and they pull him out of bounds on the 2. 1st and goal from the 2. Here's Horner. Stop. No, he's loose again and into the end zone. Rams now lead once more 13-7. Here's Waterfield with Hirsch holding, boots it, 14-7. The Rams are on top. Cleveland stops another Rams drive just before the end of the 1st quarter. And now back to action. The Brown with the ball's on the 37. There's Graham throwing for Speedy. Interference call. And it's the Browns' ball, 1st and 10 of the 50. Otto Graham running to his right, trying to get around, gets a few yards down to the 43, and that's as far as Otto's going to go. 2nd down and 3. Otto Graham, number 60, fading back again. Looking for, finds Max Speedy, number 58. Speedy with the catch. Good block by Lou Groza. And Max Speedy busting his way down. He's to the Los Angeles 26-yard line. So it's 1st and 10 for the Browns on the 26. Here's Otto Graham getting set up. Rams with a terrific rush. Otto's going to be thrown for a loss. Back 9 yards. It's at the 35. Here's Otto Graham, 2nd and 19. Graham looking for Lavelli, cutting across. Donnie's going to go in, and he scores. And the Browns are back in the ball game, 14-13. Point after touchdown. High pass from center. Here's Tommy James running off to his right. Tommy looking, and there's Tony Adamle in the end zone. Throws it in there. Adamle's got it. No, he dropped it. And the score is the Rams 14, the Browns 13. 6. Waterfield looking, throwing to number 40, Elroy Hirsch on the 42-yard line. Crazy legs, showing why they call him that, is being chased by half of the Browns. Finally brought down on the Cleveland 30-yard line. Browns defense been stingy all year. Now critical play, 3rd down. Waterfield running on his own. The Browns are going to stop him just shy of a 1st down. It's 4th down on the 16-yard field goal attempt now by the Rams. Hirsch holding, Waterfield booting, wind blowing, the ball's up in the air. It is going to be no good, off to the side. And the first half comes to an end. Rams 14, Browns 13.
Well, that's the end of the half, and Bob Waterfield, you and Glenn Davis hooked up for a record 82-yard pass play. Did you know if you received, Bob, you were going to do this play?
Well, we had some pretty good keys on the Brown pass defense, and they were keying on the way the fullback blocked, and we sort of thought we'd just go right off the bat. And, of course, with Glenn's great speed and fine hands, he ran right by the linebacker.
Nice way to start a game, Glenn.
Kurt, excuse me, Kurt, but the linebacker who missed that coverage wasn't there next year.
That's par for the course.
Those were the days of man-to-man, huh?
He wasn't there next year.
There weren't those sophisticated zones, right? You know, Otto, while we're talking to you, a lot of people know that you were a triple threat tailback at Northwestern, an All-American basketball player. I don't think too many people know that you played professional basketball.
I played 1 year and played fellows like George Glamick, Fuzzy Levane, Red Holzman, Chuck Connors, Bob Davies. We had a very fine basketball team.
Kurt, I'd have to inject here that when we went to our first training camp, Lou and I, that Otto used his basketball championship money to bring the only car to our training camp. Bob Neal remembers that, too.
That's right.
Well, is it true, Otto, that Paul Brown, out of your basketball ability, decided to make you a quarterback?
Well, I'm sure it helped me an awful lot because I hadn't had much training at it, but the moves are very, very similar, the spinning and so forth, that a basketball player does, so I'm sure that helped very much. I want to say one thing on this program. They talk about and ask who are the better football players, the better quarterbacks, this type of thing. I don't think you can ever say any one man is the best because a lot depends on who you play with. In other words, no quarterback throws the ball very well if he's lying flat on his back. The fellows in front have to block. You have to get fellows like Elroy and Dante to get open, and Glenn. But I personally think that Bob Waterfield was the best all-around quarterback I ever saw because how many quarterbacks kicked field goals as well as Lou Groza, punted as well as Horace Gillum, called his own plays, threw the ball, all the ball handling. In other words, he did everything, and quite honestly, I think he's probably the best all-around quarterback that ever played the game.
And Glenn, you say he played safety on defense?
That's right.
Yeah. Covered Don Hudson his first year, man for man.
Thank you very much.
That's quite a tribute.
I mean it.
Kurt, I have to tell you, when I saw Waterfield, I came off the boat in New York from overseas, and we got in a tree with our Army uniform.
I thought you were an immigrant. No.
Thanks a lot.
Municipal Stadium, for the second half, the Rams receive, they don't move the ball, and they punt to the Browns 23.
1st and 10 on the Browns 23. Otto Graham pitching to Marion Motley, the big 245-pound fullback. Coming to this side, gets a good block, and Motley goes out of bounds on about the 35. 2nd and 5. Here's Otto Graham. Graham looking out on the left flat, throws to Horace Gillum. Gillum in place of injured Max Speedy, really taken off and streaking down the field. And Horace Gillum sets the Browns up in good shape about the Rams 44. 2nd and 5 from the 39. Otto Graham looking now, spots Lavelli. There's Donnie streaking down the field. He's got it, and he's going to score. Donnie Lavelli puts the Browns back in the lead, 19-14. Lou Groza Groza in with Tommy James holding. Ball is set down. It's booted. It's up in the air. It's good. And it's Cleveland 20 to Rams 14. Rams take the next kickoff. Quickly march to the Browns 17. First and 10. Dick Horner picks up 8 yards for Cleveland 9. On third down, a foot to go. Here's Dick Horner running over the middle of the 5. The Browns dig in, faced with a third down and 4 to go on the touchdown. Here's Dick Horner on the famed fly toss series. There's the ball pitched out to him, and he's stopped in the Browns 1-foot line. Fourth down and a foot to go. And Dick Horner, who's carried the ball 6 successive times, lines up again. He's going to carry it for the 7th time right up the middle, and he's going to score as he moves in. And the Rams, with Bob Waterfield kicking the extra point, now lead 21 to 20. Browns trying to come right back in this game. The fans on their feet. Browns ball first and 10, their own 20. Marion Motley, the old bread and butter kid himself, moving out to the left. Comes to this sideline. It's a little slippery. Tries to reverse himself now, being hemmed in by the Rams. Trying to go the other way. Bellies around to the side. He is really being covered. He fumbles the ball, and it's picked up in there, and it's Larry Brink, and he's going to go in for a touchdown. 2 touchdowns within 1 minute. And the Rams have taken the lead 27 to 20. Waterfield makes it 28. And the Cleveland fans are a little discouraged. Cleveland's ball now, second down on their own 47. And the Browns now faced with an insurmountable task. Otto Graham throwing to LaBelle. Pushed out of bounds on his own 46-yard line. Third down on the 46. Otto Graham being encouraged by his teammates. Third down on the 46. Otto throwing to LaBelle. Good for 3 more yards, but a first down. The drive continuing to move. Here's Graham going back to the 40. Trying to get out of the way. He's run very well this afternoon. Running off to his left. Down a little more and finally hit and stopped as he gets to the 32. After a 7-yard loss, here's Graham looking again. Throwing now, number 90. Rex Baumgartner makes the catch. Ball on the 34. Otto Graham looking, trying to spot his receiver. There's LaBelle, and LaBelle makes the catch. And Donnie sets a new championship record, catching his 11th pass of the ball game. First down, Browns and the Rams 26. Graham running around the left side, faking the throw, still streaking for the sideline. Moves the ball, bumped out of bounds on the 19-yard line. Second and 3 from the 19. Here are the Browns moving down there. Marion Motley on the bread and butter trap. Down with a 5-yard run to about the 14-yard line. It's first down and 10. Otto Graham and the Browns trying to come back in this game. Here's Otto looking. There's Rex Baumgartner. All by himself. He's got it. And the touchdown just inside the end zone. Lou Groza coming in for, again, a very important boot. There's Tommy James. It's booted. It's up in the air. The Browns are back in, but the Rams still lead 28 to 27. On their own 30. Waterfield looking for some running room, trying to find Glenn Davis. There's Davis going outside. Davis trying to pick up some yardage. He's forced out of bounds finally on the 24. It's Horner now trying to go for a first down. Dick Horner, big man. Tommy Thompson, the linebacker, hits him number 36 and stops him short of the first down. It's fourth down. Here's Waterfield punting. High booming kick. Cliff Lewis back there waiting for it. The ribbit, they used to call him. Racing after it, picks it up. Cliff Lewis, who was a quarterback wearing number 62. He's going to be brought down on the 16, and we have 8 minutes left to play. The Rams lead by 1. 2 incomplete passes. Now Graham goes back to pass, third and 10. To Dub Jones, incomplete. Fourth and 10. Horace Gillum will go back in punt formation. Gillum, big foot, gets it in there. It's a high spiral. Drifting back is Glenn Davis. Davis cops the ball, racing back for it. Browns moving in on him, picks the ball up, and he's down. Gets away from one man, but 10 still at his feet. Glenn Davis, the great outside runner, to the 20-yard line. Rams ball, first and 10. Here's Bob Waterfield, number 7, passing to Elroy Hirsch. Hirsch taking the ball to the 25. Look at Elroy with those great moves of his. Browns moving in to gang tackle and bring him down. 5 minutes left in the game. Rams with the ball. First and 10 on the 37. Waterfield throwing. Ball's bobbled. Tommy Thompson grabs it. It's intercepted by the Browns. Tommy Thompson has the ball at the 46. 4.5 minutes in the game. Ball in the 46. Graham to Dub Jones on the Rams 40. Here's Dub scooting around. Gets down to the 35. Caught at the 33 and down on the 32. First and 10 Cleveland. Graham going back to pass. Runs up the middle. Here's Jerry Williams banging into him. He fumbles the ball. Who's got it? The Rams have got it. And a great break for Los Angeles. Ball recovered by the Rams Sheriff Lazartich, the captain. The Cleveland drive halted less than 3 minutes to play. Score, Rams 28, Browns 27.
Well, Otto, you had a 1-point lead. You fumbled the ball away. You go to the bench. Anybody say anything to you?
I wanted to crawl into a hole, frankly, but on the sideline, Paul Brown actually put his arm on my shoulder and said, "Don't worry, Otts, we're still going to beat them." And about that time, I felt the world had come to an end. And Paul Brown doesn't usually do this type of thing.
Bob, on that drive, when you went ahead 21-20, you used Horning 7 times in a row. Why were you running him that much?
Well, Dick was a big, strong boy, and I think everybody expected Glenn to run the ball or throw to Elroy or Fears or somebody like that. So I just stayed with him. He was running very well, so why not stay with a good thing?
We keep hearing the name of Bob Neal describing this game, Lavelli. Where was Max Speedy this day, Otto?
He was there. But, of course, Dante always hollered louder. In fact, I was talking to one of the Rams, Mr. Burrows, Don Burrows, and he said he used to get mad at Dante because he would go downfield and holler, "Otto, Otto, Otto, Otto." And I'll tell you quite honestly, many, many times when you're scrambling back there as a quarterback, Bob knows this very well. You have to run around back there, and you're not sure where those receivers are. Well, I never had any trouble finding Dante because he could holler so loud you'd hear him in the next county somewhere.
With 3 minutes remaining to play, the Cleveland fans are starting to file out of Municipal Stadium. Doesn't look too good, does it? The Rams ball.
No, it doesn't, Kurt. It's the Rams ball, 1st and 10 on their own 24, I think it was, and they were leading 28-27. Time was starting to run out, and we really had to go to bat.
Well, let's see what happened.
The Rams are unable to move the ball after 3 downs. They're forced to kick. There's Waterfield getting off a boomer. Cliff Lewis waiting for the ball. The clock is a very important issue now. Cliff Lewis taking it, heading for the sideline, trying to get out of bounds if he can, and he's out of bounds on the 32-yard line. 1 minute, 45 seconds remaining. 1st and 10 from the 32. Graham running to the right side. Otto gets away from a couple of guys, and here he comes. He's going to race all the way up to the 45, 46-yard line. 1st and 10 from the 46. 1 minute, 30 seconds left. Otto Graham looks for Rex Bumgardner. He's got it on the sidelines and out of bounds in the Rams 39. Stopping the clock again. 1st and 10 from the 39. Graham to Dub Jones. Down to the Rams 22 for another 1st down. And the clock continues to tick away. 1st and 10 on the 22. 50 seconds remain. Graham passing to Bumgardner. Can Rex get it? He's out there. He's got it. Out of bounds at about the 11. The clock stops again. 45 seconds left. Here's Otto Graham trying to set up a field goal. Possibility moving the ball in the sneak. Less than 30 seconds remaining. Browns on the 16-yard line. Tommy James kneeling on the 16. The wind is blowing. It's cold. Here's the pass from center. James putting it down. Groza boots it. It's up in the air. It's heading towards the goalpost. And it is good. And the Browns lead now 30-28 with 20 seconds left. Really going wild. It may not be jammed with people, but the excitement really mounts. The Browns leading by 2. Less than 20 seconds remaining. Here's Groza with a kickoff. Ball up in the air. Jerry Williams waiting way back on the Rams 12. Here he comes, busting loose. Jerry Williams trying to go all the way. Brown's trying to get to him. He's getting away. He's being chased back on his feet, still rolling. And he's going to go all the way to the Rams 47. 7 seconds left on the clock. Norm Van Brocklin coming into the game at quarterback for the Rams. Time remaining 7 seconds. There's Van Brocklin back to pass. Looking for Glenn Davis down along the sideline. Davis back there, but Warren Lahr intercepts. And Davis and Lahr go into the end zone. The clock runs out. The game is over. The Browns have won it 30-28. And in 4 years, the Cleveland Browns, the darlings of the All-America Football Conference, are the champions of all professional football. Well, this has to be one of the greatest games ever played in professional football's history.
Well, Lou the Toe, you kicked a lot of important field goals in your career. How would you rate this one?
Well, this was by far the top one, Kurt. You know, we started the All-American Conference, and the NFL was the senior league, and they used to tell us that we were in the minor leagues all the time, so we had a lot to prove, and when it came down to the very end and we won it by the basis of a field goal, it really saved a lot of the pride that we had developed over the year, and of course we felt we could play with the big boys. And
I got to say something on Lou here. You know, yeah, when he first came into the league, you know, he had this big show, this big hug. You know, he was the finest field goal kicker I'd ever seen. You know, and he was just a kid, so to speak, and very new in pro football. Remember, he had the tape they used to lay down.
Yeah,
the holder would put the tape down, and he'd make this big show.
Right.
Of course, if they were going to fake it, you know, that helped. But he had this big tape, and Willie Wilkin, bless his soul, is a big tackle we had. Used to be with the Washington Redskins, and now he was with the Chicago Rockets on his way out after the service. And Lou's lining up for this field goal, and he's putting this tape down like this, and Willie called a huddle immediately, defensive huddle. We all thought, you know, he's got a plan to block it. You know. And we all go in there, and he says, instead of trying to block it, somebody go in and bend the tape.
Was that field goal good, Glenn? Some of the Rams thought the field goal was no good.
It was good.
Well,
huh?
It was a liner, I'll say that.
It was a Cleveland
It went
good.
down in the books as good.
What about that final play? I think Van Brockton had broken ribs, didn't he? When they brought him in and he threw the long bomb and long intercept, and you pushed him in the end zone, or he ran in the end zone?
No, he was trying to get away, see?
Yeah.
So I just chased him on, and when he got to the end zone,
You think it should have been a safety?
Certainly.
And a tie
How
game,
can you say that?
It
was a safety.
It was a
But in
safety.
Cleveland, how could you get a call? I have played golf with Glenn Davis many, many times.
You played golf with the referee,
He is probably
too.
known as a golf hustler. So consequently, he would come up with something like this on the Warren line was pushed in the end with that big brute over there, Glenn Davis.
Was there an argument after the game that about a possible safety?
No, not really, no. But in all seriousness,
just through the tears.
in all seriousness, no, an official possibly could have called that a safety. It would have changed the outcome of the game, of course. Made a tie game out of it. It could have happened.
You keep referring to Cleveland. I don't think you like Cleveland very well.
Well, in Los Angeles, there was a safety.
Safety in Los Angeles. Otto, 68 yards to go, minute 45, left to play. You're behind. Did you feel you could take the club in?
Well, our football club, we always felt we could score. We felt we had good material. We felt we could do the things that we could do best. And they, of course, as has been pointed out here, did a great job of blocking from here. Fellas like Marion Motley, and they allowed me the time to throw the football. And fellas like Dante would get open, so he'd just throw the ball to him.
Kurt.
And the sideline pass, we knew they would be afraid to go for the six-pointer, so they would play a little bit loosely, and I would too if I were them. So consequently, we had enough time to go down to the field. We couldn't afford many mistakes. But we had enough time. We had to run the sideline passes because we didn't have enough time much left. And, of course, they gave it to us, and we, of course, did it.
Game's over. You signed off. Did you know that you had just done, or the feeling that you may have just done, probably one of the greatest games of all time, or would wind up to be one of the greatest games of all time?
I think so, Kurt. As you know, the whole game just built up into this fantastic crescendo. And when it was over, I think everyone, because it was Christmas Eve to begin with, and the total realization of all the work these fellows have been doing for so many years, and to go down there where, you know, where Paul Brown, for example, was standing on a chair, and he didn't even know what the score was. And he said, what difference does it make? We won the game. Lou was kissing his kicking shoe, and they were just, it was like a high school group of kids who had just won the city championship, and they were so delighted for each other.
A classic.
It sure was.
You know, I can say to this group is Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Well, we want to thank the Los Angeles Rams, the Cleveland Browns, and Bob Neal, who called that famous game on radio and television. And so on Christmas Eve, 1950, two superb, evenly matched professional football teams etched their names in sports history. Commissioner Bert Bell called it the greatest football game he'd ever seen. And for their efforts that day, each of the champion Browns received $1,113.16, and the losing Rams each earned $686.44.
Slave wages.
And that's the way it was when the Browns beat the Rams for the 1950 NFL Championship.
When Bob Waterfield joined the Rams in 1945, he hit the ground running, or should we say passing, tackling, punting, and kicking. As a rookie, Waterfield became the first player in NFL history to be named league MVP on their initial campaign. Wait, there's more from the rookie. He was a unanimous all-NFL choice, and he led the Rams to the NFL championship, where he tossed TD passes of 37 and 44 yards as the Rams downed the Washington Redskins 15-14. Still more, he was also the punter and the place kicker. Waterfield was no one-hit wonder, as his career numbers tell the story of one of the greatest players of all time. Where do you want to start? All NFL 3 years, NFL passing champion twice, 11,849 yards passing with 97 strikes resulting in touchdowns, 573 points scored. On the defensive side, he had 20 picks in 4 years. Oh, he also had a 42.4-yard punting average. That's an average that could put him in the lineup today. Bob Waterfield's talents on the gridiron will never be duplicated, and that's legendary. In 1949, the Rams picked up Norm Van Brocklin, the fiery quarterback who was the University of Oregon's first ever All-American QB. Van Brocklin, also known as the Flying Dutchman, adapted to the NFL quickly and won the passing title in both 1950 and 1952, even though he was splitting time with the great Bob Waterfield. He added a third passing championship in 1954. The Flying Dutchman lit up the record books in 1951 when he threw for 554 yards against the New York Yanks. 51 turned out to be a great year for Norm and the Rams as they stormed their way through the season and played the Browns in the NFL title game. Thanks to a 73-yard touchdown pass from Van Brocklin to Tom Fears, the Rams defeated the Browns for their first title since moving to Los Angeles. Career for Storm and Norman impressive. 9 Pro Bowl selections, 1,553 completions for 23,611 yards and 173 touchdowns. The quarterback, who became an NFL head coach, was elected into the Hall of Fame in 1971. Legendary. Tom Fears was fearless. He earned his way into the Hall of Fame by running precise routes and catching passes over the middle. Fears started his collegiate career at Santa Clara, but duty called and Tom went off to serve his country during World War II. Tom was a Ram from 1948 until 1956, and the list of accomplishments are medal-worthy. In his first 3 seasons in the league, he led the NFL in catches. The higher the stakes, the better he performed. In the 50s title game, he tallied 3 touchdowns. In the 1951 championship game, he scored the game winner, giving the Rams the title. Over his career, Fears had 400 catches for 5,397 yards. He found pay dirt 38 times and is credited with giving his teammate Dick Lane the nickname Night Train. Now that's legendary.
With less than a minute to go to the half, Waterfield drops back to pass. It's that screen pass again to Hirsch, and Mr. Elroy Crazy Legs Hirsch is touchdown bound.
With the Los Angeles Rams, 49-50-51, you've got a team that explodes offensively, and the single most dangerous weapon on that offense was Elroy Crazy Legs Hirsch. Crazy Legs Hirsch is the most dangerous pass-receiving weapon in pro football since Don Hudson. We talked today about yards after the catch, but he would get acres of yards after the catch because he was so elusive in the open field. was up in the air, he looked like Willie Mays in center field. He could adjust and wind up catching the ball over his shoulder in stride about as well as anyone. If you take a look at the offensive stats in pro football, then he was not just the best in the league, he was head and shoulders above his competitors.
But Hirsch's legs, not his head and shoulders, earned him one of the most famous nicknames in sports history. His unorthodox stride inspired a sports writer to tab him Crazy Legs. The nickname perfectly captured pro football's wild, unpredictable identity at mid-century. But physically, Elroy Hirsch really did have crazy legs.
I'm kind of deformed. My left foot points out farther out than my right. So when I take the step with the left leg, I have to bring it back behind my body. Now there's got to be some way I have to get it around in front of me again, so I have to swing it out and around. And the harder I run, I wobble. It's like Spike or Babe or something like that. I wouldn't know what to do if somebody called me Elroy. Most people call me Legs.
During his playing days, Hirsch's legs and looks made him a camera-ready leading man for movies and television.
Crazy Legs, how do you keep yourself in condition?
That's easy. Plenty of sleep, exercise, and the right kind of foods. And I drink chocolate-flavored Ovaltine. But be sure it's Ovaltine and not just an ordinary milk flavoring.
He looked glamorous. Hirsch was one of the first players to wear the painted helmet, this icon of American pop culture design with the gold, sweeping, graceful ram's horn. Hirsch looked different, he played different, and he was creating these highlight reels week in and week out with big plays and long passes. Elroy Crazy Legs Hirsch set the standard for the way the game would evolve in the next 20 to 30 years as the first true flanker deep threat. He gave us a glimpse into the future of pro football at a time when much of the league's teams still played 3 yards in a cloud of dust offense. Hirsch was the first of his kind.
The number 3 receiving corps of all time, the 50s Rams.
The Rams really threw the ball around the field in the early 50s.
And Mr. Elroy Crazy Legs Hirsch is touchdown bound.
Norm Van Brocklin drops back, throws an arching pass upfield. Crazy Tom Pierce gathers it in on the dead run.
If you had some, good, quick receivers, you're going to be very, very difficult to defend. And the Rams had 3 excellent ones. I mean, they had Elroy Hirsch. He was almost impossible to tackle. You had a guy like Tom Fears, who caught all the intermediate stuff. And then you had Bob Boyd, who was an NCAA 100-yard dash champion.
But Bob Boyd gets both hands on it and races to complete a 61-yard touchdown play.
Our number 3 receiving corps benefited from Coach Clark Shaughnessy's innovative 3-end offense.
That was an offense that was way, way ahead of its time. They brought into the game the spread of wide receivers, and in fact, they would even take a tight end, spread him out, and in some instances had as many as 5 wide receivers in formation. That was really revolutionary.
It was a formation that you'd see from time to time in the NFL, but only in desperate circumstances. But with the Rams, it was a staple of their offense.
Norman Van Brocklin to Tom Fears. Sears the Lions secondary, and the ball's on the Detroit 14.
Waterfield tosses a nifty aerial to Crazy Legs Hirsch.
In Crazy Legs, the Rams had one of the all-time nicknames to go with one of the all-time receiving corps.
I wobble back and forth, and the legs go kind of like an egg beater. If you've ever seen a girl run from behind, I run kind of like a girl. I always appreciated it because anything's better than Elroy.
But nobody was better than Hirsch, whose numbers were dazzling.
He had 17 touchdown catches in a 12-game season. The average gain on those 17 touchdowns was 48 yards. Quarterbacks used to say he had eyes in the back of his head. He could outstretch his arms and pull a ball in over his shoulder, seemingly without even looking behind him.
Crazy Legs Hirsch is in the clear, and it's touchdown Ram.
As it's tossed to Tom Fears, Sears the defense and brings tears to the Green Bay supporters while Los Angeles nears the promised land.
Tom Fears is a Hall of Fame receiver, but his career almost went down a different path.
As a rookie, he came in, he was actually playing on defense, and in his first game had 2 interceptions, I believe returned 1 for a touchdown, and at that point his coach decided, well, that's too valuable of an asset to be putting in on the defensive side of the ball, and he said, this is a guy that clearly has the ability to be a ball hawk.
Tom Fears, the young rookie from UCLA, who was to win the receiving championship in his first season.
Fears set a record with 84 receptions in a season, and his mark of 18 catches in a game stood until Terrell Owens broke it 50 years later.
Right side to Owens, who makes the catch and is breaking a new record every time he catches the ball now.
To this day, the Rams hold the record for receiving yards in a game with 554, making them a core for the ages.
You had 2 Hall of Famers in Hirsch and Fears, and then you had a guy, Bob Boyd, who had 1 year where he gained over 1,200 yards receiving, which is back in the 12-game seasons. That's 100 yards a game.
Fires to Bob Boyd, who makes a beautiful catch.
In terms of the way they impacted the game, I think the Rams of the 50s will stand as one of the great passing teams that ever played.
And Matt Ryan just went over 500 yards.
517 passing yards for Tom Brady.
Ben Roethlisberger throws for 503.
Every one of those guys put up huge numbers. And there have been many games of over 500 yards. With all the rules geared towards the passing game, a quarterback broaching that milestone is frankly no big deal anymore. Heck, Matt Schaub did it. Matt Flynn, of all people, hit 480 a few years ago, parlaying it into a contract, and he still rode the bench. All of which makes it remarkable. Check that. Unbelievable that the record for passing yards in a game has stood for 65 years.
Norm Van Brocklin drops back, throws an arching pass upfield. Lazy Tom Fears gathers it in on the dead run and races all the way to score for Los Angeles.
Norm Van Brocklin's feat of 554 passing yards in a game has not only survived every challenger for the last 7 decades, it came under somewhat unusual circumstances. Van Brocklin wasn't even the Rams' regular starting quarterback. It was a season opener in 1951 between Los Angeles and New York, the New York Yanks football team.
Takes the snap back, goes back to pass, throws it to the right corner, touchdown! A touchdown in the right corner!
Van Brocklin put up his 554-yard performance in an era when 400 passing yards was almost unheard of. In those days, receivers could be hit all the way down the field. There was no bump and run. It was bump and more bump. So as impressive as Van Brocklin's outing was, the obvious question you must be asking right now is, how come this record's never been broken? The importance of quarterbacks in this era, or rather, losing them.
Looks to the right, throws it for a wide-open Bennett, walking in, literally.
Think about it. If Tom Brady is on his way to a 500-yard game, then the Patriots are probably up 30 points and will quit throwing. Why risk getting your franchise QB hurt? In the 40s and 50s, quarterbacks weren't perceived to be the centerpiece of the franchise like today. So really, the best opportunity a player has is if he's playing from behind. Now this has happened a few times, like Boomer Esiason's 522 in 1996, or Tony Romo a few years ago, because his defense couldn't stop anything.
And it's Manning and Romo, a 7-on-7 passing league right now.
Most importantly, 554 is a huge number. Think about how many 50-yard bombs a quarterback would have to throw to approach that. One last thought here on Van Brocklin. He and this absolutely loaded Rams offense would go on to win the NFL title in 1951. Van Brocklin would do it again as an old vet, winning the NFL championship for the Eagles 9 years later in 1960.
The fabulous Dutchman Norm Van Brocklin earned the league's Most Valuable Player award for his role in the Eagles' flight to victory.
He retired after that game. Since then, only John Elway and Peyton Manning have won the title and then walked off into the sunset. Pretty solid company there, don't you think?
The modern NFL is more pass-happy than it's ever been. In 2018 alone, 5 quarterbacks surpassed 4,500 yards and 2 eclipsed 5,000 in a huge year for the aerial attack. Teams are built to throw the ball. Philosophies have become ultra-aggressive, and the rules make chucking the football easier than ever. So why is it that one of the most significant passing records in football has stood since 1951? Yep, despite all the spectacular air raid that's ramped up seemingly with every passing year, the single game passing yards record hasn't been broken in a full 68 years. Now, We're gonna find out why. We're gonna get to the bottom of why this curious mark hasn't been touched. Who was it that set the record and how? Who's gotten the closest to it? And most importantly, why won't anyone break it? So, who set this illustrious mark? On September 28, 1951, the Los Angeles Rams hosted the New York Yanks in the opening game of the season before a crowd of 30,000. On one side, the Yanks' three-headed quarterback attack of John Rauch, Bob Sellery, and Bev Wallace combined for a grand total of 63 yards. On the other side, the Rams signal caller Norm Van Brocklin couldn't be reined in. The man they called the Dutchman hit on 27 of his 41 attempts to the tune of 5 touchdowns, 2 picks, and, drumroll please, 554 yards. 3 receivers went over the 100 mark, including 162 yards from Tom Fears and a 173-yard, 4-touchdown game from Crazy Legs Hirsch. Those legs are crazy. The whole offense was clicking too. They even added 181 yards on the ground to go with their record-breaking passing game. 735 total yards of offense, which, by the way, is also an NFL record. The Rams won 54-14 and went on to win the NFL championship, beating the Browns 24-17 in the title game. Yeah, that's how long ago this was. The key to Van Brocklin's success? 0 pass rush from the Yanks. The Dutchman was sacked just once, and the good protection allowed him to sit back and toss passes of 37, 47, 54, and 67 yards. A player named Vitamin Smith had 103 yards receiving. Okay, ready to move on. Just kidding, a guy named Dick Horner had 81 yards rushing. They don't make them like they used to. And who knew that this record, set just 6 years after the end of World War II, set in an era when the football itself was too large and clunky to throw consistent spirals, set in a time when cornerbacks were legally allowed to stuff receivers into lockers, would stand unshaken through nearly 7 decades of offensive firepower. But of course, a few players have gotten close, so let's check out who's threatened Van Brocklin's record in the last 68 trips around the sun. Boomer Esiason. Okay, Boomer Esiason had himself a day back in '96. Even at the age of 34 on his third team, the Arizona Cardinals, Boomer could still sling it. Facing Darryl Green and the Redskins, the Cards asked Esiason to throw the ball 59 times. And he delivered, hitting on 35 passes for a total of 522 yards. Never mind the part where he threw 3 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Boomer spread the ball around like a true socialist. 8 different Cards had at least 3 grabs for 30 yards, none of them breaking 100 yards. The Cardinals needed to pass, too. They trailed 14 points in the fourth quarter, but rallied thanks to a couple Boomer touchdown passes and sent the game to OT, where Kevin Butler hit a field goal to give Arizona a 37-34 win. Is it fair that Boomer got an extra period to get onto this list? Probably not, but hey, doing anything of note with the 90s Cardinals was an uphill battle. Warren Moon. Remember the Oilers? In a December date in Kansas City back in 1990, Warren Moon compiled 527 yards in an easy 27-10 victory over Steve DeBerg and the Chiefs. The main beneficiary was Haywood Jeffrey, spelled Jeffires, who hauled in a third of Moon's 27 completions for an absurd 245 yards, including an 87-yard touchdown where Jeffries caught the ball in traffic, spun away from a Chief DB, and outraced the entire defense to the end zone. Even with Derek Thomas and Neil Smith breathing down his neck, Moon averaged nearly 12 yards per attempt, about as efficient as you could ask for, especially outdoors in the Missouri winter. When you consider that some of the other passers on the list did it in Los Angeles and Jacksonville, foreshadowing, Moon's 527 might be the most impressive of the bunch. Matt Schaub. Finally, tied with Moon for second on the all-time list, another Hall of Famer. Oh wait, just kidding, it's Matt Schaub. The Texans quarterback hit the 527 mark in November of 2012 against the 1-8 Jaguars down in Duval. Schaub threw the ball 55 times, completing an astounding 47 of his attempts. Andre Johnson caught 14 of those passes for 273 yards, while 8 other Texans got in on the action. 5 touchdowns and 2 picks came off of Schaub's hot hand, but he had to keep throwing because he had stiff competition on the other side. The Jags started Chad Henne, who, while overshadowed by Schaub's big day, had 354 yards and 4 touchdowns of his own to pace the Jacksonville offense. The two teams went to overtime and traded field goals before a 43-yard touchdown pass to Johnson gave Houston the 43-37 win. 527 yards, and a year later, right off a cliff. Honorable mentions. Plenty of other quarterbacks have gotten close without breaking Van Brocklin's 554. Ben Roethlisberger had 522 yards through the air to go with 6 touchdowns against the Colts in 2014. Dan Marino had 521, the most passing yards in a loss when his Dolphins ate an L in a 2-score game to the Jets in 1988. Can we stop saying that? Matt Stafford also had 521 via the pass in that famous snow game to cap the regular season in 2011, a contest best known for Aaron Rodgers' backup Matt Flynn going off with 480 yards and 6 touchdowns of his own to win the game and make the easiest $8 million in the NFL the next season to back up Russell Wilson. Why can't they break the mark? As we've seen, quarterbacks can top 500 yards, but seem to peter out around 520 at the very most. 23 quarterbacks have eclipsed 500 16 times in this millennium, but none of them have come within less than 27 yards on Van Brocklin. How could that be? Well, consider this. To accumulate that many passing yards, it takes a ton of attempts. And teams are usually only going to throw the ball 45 plus times if they're trailing or in a shootout. But if the quarterback is efficient enough to get close to 500 or even surpass that threshold, the team is likely putting up a lot of points on the board. So essentially, it's not just going to take a huge day offensively, it will probably require a huge defensive meltdown on the other side of the ball. It takes a quick back and forth between both offenses. If one team is running a hurry-up, pass-heavy attack and the other team is grinding out yards on the ground, then the passer with big yardage might not get the snaps necessary to get to 555 yards. Essentially, to break Van Brocklin's record, it would take a supernova occurrence that combines remarkable efficiency on both sides of the ball, a complete unwillingness to run the ball throughout the game, and 2 defenses that are simultaneously unable to stop a barrage of quick scores that put up yards and points but don't take a huge dent out of the clock. The only other ways to do it would be extreme efficiency between the 20s, but total dysfunction in the red zone, or possibly an overtime playoff game that never ends. When you study Van Brocklin's game, you'll notice that it's a marvel in terms of efficiency, the type of which is unmatched, paired with a complete disregard for the other team's feelings. Surely, however, there has to be a chance for someone to break 554 in the near future, right? The most likely candidate to pull off the near impossible is Chiefs quarterback Pat Mahomes. Mahomes isn't just the right guy to do it because he's averaged 310 yards per game in his career with a high of 478, but he's also got a defense that's inept enough to let it happen. It's just a matter of finding a partner that can keep up. So who might that be? It doesn't seem like anyone on the Chargers, Raiders, or Broncos would be up to the task, but maybe someone like Deshaun Watson could force him into that kind of shootout. Ditto for Matt Ryan or Drew Brees, who Mahomes will face in the 2020 regular season, barring injury, retirement, or Andy Reid spilling barbecue sauce all over the play sheet.
Come on, no.
Get it. It's no for me. We're all mesmerized by the pass. It's the sexiest part of football. But even though the game has been skewed in favor of the pass, a record from 1951 from a guy named Norm has stood the test of time. A few noted legends like Boomer Esiason, Warren Moon, Dan Marino, and Matt Schaub have come pretty close, but they've all been a 30-yard completion away from surpassing Van Brocklin's statistical eruption. Will we ever see it happen? It's hard to say, but don't let it distract you from the fact that a guy named Vitamin Smith played for the Rams.
Number 7 high-powered offense of all time, the 1950 Los Angeles Rams.
It's an offense that was obviously 40 years ahead of its time when you think about it.
Don't let the black and white footage fool you. The 1950 Los Angeles Rams were not your great-grandfather's normal cup of Ovaltine, and that is what makes them the number 7 high-powered offense of all time.
And they're doing it by throwing the football, which for a lot of people was heresy.
In the 1950s, a lot of teams just ran the football, but the LA Rams were a little bit different.
The Rams in 1950, they had 2 quarterbacks.
They had Norm Van Brocklin, and they had Bob Waterfield.
The Rams, led by Bob Waterfield, make their appearance.
Each of them started 6 games, and they would rotate in and out, and they had a very prolific passing offense.
It's Waterfield again doing the damage.
They really brought the passing game into the 50s. Without the 1950 Rams, there's a case to be made that the passing game doesn't take off as much as it could.
Again, it's Van Brocklin throwing the leather for the famed Los Angeles Rams.
It was something exciting. It wasn't like boring old football. Here's Steve Van Buren running 4 yards. It's Bob Waterfield and Norm Van Brocklin just slinging that rock.
Van Brocklin gets off a tremendous heave.
1950 Rams, Bob Waterfield, Hall of Fame. They had a young Norm Van Brocklin, Hall of Fame at quarterback. They've got a great possession receiver in Tom Fears, who had the record for the longest time. He caught 18 balls in a game.
Rangy Tom Fears gathers it in on the dead run.
And then they had the burner, Elroy Crazy Legs Hurst.
So teams just didn't know how to cope with them. They didn't know how to prepare for them. They didn't know how to match up with them. And frankly, they couldn't.
The Rams' abundance of talent led to them setting an NFL record for highest scoring offense per game, a record that has remained unbroken for over 6 decades.
They scored 466 points that season. That was 100 points more than the next closest team, which was the New York Yanks. They averaged over 38 points per game.
38.8. 38.8 with no player safety rules, no illegal contact, right?
Scoring 39 points a game in 1950 is like somebody scoring 69 points a game today.
Waterfield reached down into his bag of tricks for an old Waterfield special.
Still the only team to score 60 or more points twice in a season, our number 7 high-powered offense was a harbinger of things to come.
If you are really going by which team was the most dominant in its era, there's a good argument that the 1950 Rams should rank first.
It was one of the first true modern offenses in the NFL.
Bob Waterfield, the Rams star passer, gets off a touchdown aerial.